Good evening. Welcome to the December 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the City of Coolidge City Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Norm, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Tom Bagnell.
Present.
Councilmember Audrey Saavedra.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson. Here. Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Councilmember Ian Gillespie. Here. Vice Mayor Tatiana Murrieta. And Councilmember Tom Show. Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Under the first items is a proclamation for Arbor Day. I don't see Ricky anywhere. Tree City, USA. Is he? Oh, here he comes.
You want me to say a few words before you read it, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I was looking for it.
Oh, I was hiding in the back. No, the same thing I pretty much say every year. Just, I believe, Mayor, about 22 years ago or so, we were outside the library when they planted the first tree for our Arbor Day celebration. This was it was a big deal and sort of a way we continue to, show our thanks to former city manager Bob Flatley, who brought this program when he came along. It was important to him, and it's something we like to continue sort of in his memory and his honor. So I believe we're applying for year 22, and it's important to the city, and we enjoy doing it, and we enjoy being a Tree City, USA. I believe there's only a handful, maybe 8 to 10 cities, larger cities, that have been Tree Cities longer than Coolidge, and then many have followed. But I wouldn't say we were one of the founding ones, but we were pretty early on with becoming a Tree City, USA here in Arizona.
Yep, we were. Well, thank you, Ricky. Yeah, and I will read it. It was one of the times that I saw Mayor Wirtz actually very happy. Whereas trees are one of the primary qualities of life factors that a city government can provide for its citizens, and whereas trees are a delight to everybody, those who grow them and those who simply look on and enjoy their beauty, and whereas our community trees must be perpetuated to provide the benefits of aesthetic, shade, energy, conservation, noise reduction, and community livability. And whereas our forefathers who settled in the desert had the foresight and courage to plant the trees we now enjoy, and whereas the climate and special beauty of the desert Southwest are valuable resources enjoyed by many and should be taken care of for the sake of our children and our children's children, and whereas the City of Coolidge is designated as a Tree City, USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for our commitment to improving the urban forestry program in our community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, John Thompson, Mayor of the City of Coolidge, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 24th, 2026, as Arbor Day in the City of Coolidge, and encourage all citizens to participate in this celebration and realize its importance. Okay. The next one is item 4, monthly report by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For October, for our reinvestments, we have Banner Casa Grande Medical Center, Casablanca Apartments, Christ Lutheran Church, Clement Plumbing, Coolidge Cotton Patchers, EB5 Investors, Hub Express Arizona, Kiva Insurance, Legacy Rock Products, Pinal County Historical Museum, Ryan's Rentals, Stan Tech, Sun Life Health, the Windmill Winery. The new members for October are TCM Site Services, Green Thumb Earthscapes at Agave Garden, Arizona Roofing Systems, and the Shop on the Boulevard. So our stats for October, we had 271 visitors, 8 in-state, 9 out-of-state. We didn't have any foreigners. We had 4,459 referrals. Year-to-date visitors is 2,936. I have no update from the Casa Grande ruins yet, but we should start getting that back in. Pinal Geology Museum, we had 189, 1,790 to date. DAV was 69 at 500 year-to-date. Some of the things, we attended the APS Energy Overview luncheon. It was very, very informative. It's the kind of information that helps us understand and prepare for growth. So I was really excited about that. CDC, we got the news about the Christmas lights being able to be used at the end of south of town. I'm sure Tom is real happy about that. That was Skip really working hard with the city on that. We went to the Pinal Partnership Outlook, talking about next year. It was, so other people have went to it, but what I got out of it is they weren't really sure. We're still kind of in a holding pattern, and we'll get more information in February when they start getting more data. All the data's been held up. Some upcoming events: City of Coolidge Christmas in the Park, December 12th. City of Coolidge Light Parade, December 12th. Wreath Across America, December 13th. Our membership luncheon, December 17th, and that's a toy drive as well. VFW Blood Drive on December 20th. Market on the Move on the 27th. New Year's Day, January 1st, will be closed. Pinal Partnership Monthly Breakfast, January 2nd. Coolidge Airport fly-in, January 3rd. I don't know if you guys saw our Facebook advertising the Coolidge Airport fly-in. It turned out really good on Facebook. Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January 19th will be closed, and there will be a parade. Membership luncheon on January 21st, and that's going to be Lucid giving us an update. We'll have breakfast with the mayor on January 22nd and Market on the Move January 24th. And on behalf of the Coolidge Chamber and Board of Directors, we'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, Lynn, thank you very much. Now, just hold on a minute before you run off.
Oh, my.
I'm going to ask the council to join me down there with you.
For me.
Can you make it? Can you make it?
Is this why you guys are here?
All right. Since this is your last meeting with us, the council. Well, I thought it was. Well, we're still, okay, this year, no, I guess. And we're gonna give you this because you've done a good job. I don't know, there's a number of people here that were pretty close to the chamber, that is on the chamber. I work very close with the chamber, and that means you most of the time because you're in the office. And so I want to tell people that she's done a terrific job, and we're going to give her this plaque. The city's going to give this to you for your exceptional leadership, dedication, and unwavering commitment to the City of Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Your vision and tireless service have strengthened our community and inspired all who had the privilege to work with you. Congratulations on your retirement. Thank you. Thank you. And good job. Appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, oh, now we'll move into public hearings. Item 5, to receive public comments on land use assumptions, infrastructure improvement plan, and development fee report regarding the update of the city's development fees.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you. Tonight, we're beginning the public review of the city's updated land use assumptions and 10-year infrastructure improvement plan, which together form the legal basis for our development impact fees under Arizona law. These documents update our growth projections and confirm the infrastructure we need to maintain our current levels of services in parks, fire, police, streets, and wastewater as the city continues to grow. To walk us through the assumptions, the capital plans, and how those translate into the proposed fee schedule, tonight we have Mr. Ben Griffin with Tischler Bice, the city's consultant for this update. Ben will present the findings, explain the proposed changes, and the timeline for adoption. Ben, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, tonight I'm gonna walk you through the draft land use assumptions, IIP, and development fees. Luckily, you only have to do this once every 5 years, but it is a rather lengthy process that we're gonna kick off tonight. Maybe.
Walk up to it.
All right, so I'll give you a sort of an impact fee 101 refresher for those of you who don't deal with impact fees every day. We'll look at the land use assumptions and the infrastructure improvements plan, and then we'll finally make it to the draft fees. So impact fees are one-time payments for growth-related infrastructure. Generally, you're going to collect those at the time of the building permit. So this is something that new development pays. It is not something existing development pays. It's not a tax, but it will bind you to providing the infrastructure outlined in the report. We're going to focus on capital, so no operations, maintenance, no repair, replacement, rehab. This needs to be, new capacity or, additional vehicles in a fleet or additional park amenities, things like that, not replacing anything that exists today. There are 3 things we have to prove in an impact fee study. So need, benefit, and proportionality. So need, that's the easier one. We look to you and you say, hey, these are all the capital improvements we need. So we need additional roads, we need additional police cars. And we can look to MAG, and they can say, oh, well, here's the growth projections for the next 10 years. So there's, additional growth and there's need for infrastructure. So that's usually the easy part. Next up, we want to make sure that the fee payer receives a benefit. So that's sort of a 2-part approach. First, we want to make sure that they receive they're close enough geographically to receive that. And Coolidge is compact enough where we don't need to have multiple service areas like we do in maybe some larger cities. But the other part of benefit is we want to make sure that you spend the money in a timely manner. So you have 10 years from the date of collection to spend this money, or else you have to refund it. We are looking at some methodologies that make it easier for you to spend money. And I'll get into that in a few slides. But trying to make sure that you're doing this every 5 years. We're reviewing this, and you don't get to a situation where you would ever have to refund any of the impact fees. And we want to make sure that those fees are proportionate to demand. So in the fee schedules, you'll see, a single family versus a multifamily. You'll see, a commercial versus an industrial versus an office. All those have different demand factors, and so we can vary the fees proportionately to make sure that each type of land use pays for the capital improvements proportionate to the demand that they provide. Level of service, you'll hear me say this a lot. That's one of the most important things with impact fees. We can't charge future development for a higher level of service than existing development receives unless you've identified an outside funding mechanism to do that. Essentially, we want to make sure that we treat everyone the same and we're not overcharging future development. So there are three general methodologies. They look at points in time. So a cost recovery looks to the past. So this is something that you've already constructed. Maybe you have debt. You've got some excess capacity. You want to have future development buy into that excess capacity. Incremental expansion, that's looking at the present. So what is your existing level of service? What does it cost today to build a pickleball court? What does it cost today to acquire an additional patrol vehicle? And then we can use that to say, okay, well, this is what future development should pay. When we look to the future, that's a plan-based approach. Generally, you're going to have a CIP or a master plan with very specific projects, and then we take that and say, well, what is growth share? What is existing development share? What are the funding mechanisms you have outside of impact fees to get to this planned level of service? We also have to look at credits. So a site-specific credit, that's handled after you adopt the fees. So an easy example, would be if a developer, residential developer, put in some playgrounds or pickleball courts. Well, those are things that are in the impact fee study. So they could be due a credit in that situation. Debt service credits and dedicated revenue credits, those are handled in the impact fee study. So essentially, we're guarding against charging once through the impact fee and then a second time through those future revenue sources generated by future development. So essentially, we include a credit to the impact fee. It lowers that impact fee to offset those future revenues. One recurring dedicated revenue you'll see is the construction sales tax. So as you know, in Arizona, if your construction sales tax is higher than your other sales tax rates, you have to provide a credit against your impact fees for that difference that exceeds your average rate. So you'll see in a few of the categories, there is a construction sales tax credit, which reduces the impact fees. All right, so this is what I was alluding to, and I think this, it takes a while. So there are three components that you have to adopt. The land use assumptions and the infrastructure improvements plan, those are handled in the first round of adoption. So the land use assumptions, it's essentially, how much development do you have today? What do we think growth looks like over the next 10 years? The infrastructure improvements plan, that is your, existing inventories. So what's your current level of service? Once you've adopted that, then you have a second round of adoption for the development fees. We're going to show you the development fees tonight. It makes the process so much easier if you know what the development fees are from the beginning. That way, it's sort of checking boxes at the end, because once you've adopted the land use assumptions and the infrastructure improvements plan, you already know what the fees are, so it makes that second round of adoptions much easier. There are limitations in the Arizona Act, so parks are limited to 30 acres unless it provides a direct benefit to development. Public safety, so police, fire, you can't have regional training facilities, and you must have anything included must have a useful life of at least 3 years. All right, so tonight, starting this process, because we're having the public hearing tonight, you have to adopt the land use assumptions in IIP 30 to 60 days, or you need to have another public hearing. But assuming you adopt within that 30 to 60 day window, right now it's on the schedule for January 12th, then the next day you would advertise the development fees, which you already have. February 23rd, you'd have the public hearing on that. April 13th, you could adopt those, and then 75 days later, June 29th, the fees would become effective. All right, now I'm going to step to the side because there are a lot of numbers here. All right, so for residential development, We're using census data that shows, on average in Coolidge, a single-family unit has almost 3 people per housing unit. A multifamily unit's just over 2 people. So when we allocate fees per person, we're going to say, all right, the cost per person times 2.94 for single-family, the cost per person 2.34 for multifamily. That's how we're going to ensure that the fees are proportionate to demand on the residential side. Next slide. On the non-residential slide, this is data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. It shows trip generation rates, employment densities. We'll use this to vary the fees on the non-residential side. All right, so this shows what we think development will look like over the next 10 years. So this is data, the state has this data, but it's basically provided to them by the Maricopa Association of Governments. And, those are the official projections. And so if you look, going out 10 years, this shows a population increase of 26,000 people. And based on, your current housing mix, what permits have looked like recently, that translates into about 9,100 housing units over the next 10 years. On the non-residential side, the official projections have about 4,400 additional jobs. When we convert that to floor area, which is how you're going to assess the non-residential fees, we use those ITE factors, and that's just over 2 million square feet of non-residential development related to those new jobs. So, are there any questions about the land use assumptions? Okay. All right, so first up, we have Parks and Rec. We will have a citywide service area or one single service area. We're looking at one component, so a park amenities component uses that incremental methodology, so we're just maintaining the existing level of service. And based on 10 years of projected growth, you would need about 308 additional park amenities at a cost of just shy of $14 million just to maintain the existing level of service. The next slide, this gives you a little more detail. So the top left, that shows all of your existing amenities. So you have 236 existing. It shows what it would cost in today's dollars to build a similar unit. And so the average cost of all of your existing amenities is about $45,000 per unit. On the far right, that just shows if we maintain the level of service, this is what we need. So you can see if we have 236 units today, if we grow by 26,000 people and about 4,400 jobs, then you need about 308 additional park amenities. Because this uses an incremental methodology, it's very flexible. It doesn't say you have to build, a pickleball court here and a baseball field here and a restroom here and some lighting here. It just says, as growth occurs, you build the types of park amenities, demanded by future development. And so that may be adding, lights to some ball fields that are unlit because that adds additional capacity. It may be, adding, ball fields on one side of town, and it may be adding, walking trails or something like that on the other side of town. It's very flexible. If you grow faster than projected, you generate more fee revenue, you build more. If you grow less than projected, you're going to generate less, you build less. But it's not like a plan-based approach where it says this is the specific improvement, and if you don't grow enough, then you're left looking to the general fund to make up that difference. So this incremental methodology, a lot of our clients really enjoy this because it is so flexible and it does insulate the general fund from changes in the development patterns. All right, next slide. This is the excess construction sales tax credit I mentioned. Essentially what we're doing here is saying, hey, we think that the Parks and Rec share of 5 years of excess construction sales tax collections would be about $1.5 million. We just allocate this to residential versus non-residential development. And on the next slide, you can see the fee schedule. So at the top, you see that park amenities cost per person or job, the payback for the development fee report, and then the credit. So all we're doing here is saying, all right, for Parks and Rec, we should be charging about $369 per person, or about $84 per job. And then it's simply, just multiplying it by the number of, persons per housing unit, or the jobs per 1,000 square feet. So you can see, the single-family park fee goes up slightly, but you're actually seeing a decrease on the remainder of the land uses. So any questions with Parks and Rec?
We're going to be, when you continue through that further, we're going to be quite a bit short on the projected revenue and what we're actually, going to have, right, in the next 10 years? One's 13 million and one's 9 million. If you read through it a lot further than this.
What do you mean by 9 million?
Well, on page 66 of the information that we received, the projected fee revenue is $9,999,732. But they say the next 2 years we'll need $13,718,167. That's the
That's-
information I got on page 66 of
That's
of
related
this.
to the excess construction sales tax credit. So essentially what you're going to do is, as your impact fees come in, you make up the difference with that excess construction sales tax.
Over the 10-year period.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Good catch. Thank you for that. All right, so up next should be fire. So again, a single service area. We're looking at two components this time. So a facilities component and an apparatus component. If you grow as projected and you want to maintain your existing level of service, you need about 12,500 square feet of additional fire facilities. That's about $5 million in capital costs, and you'd need about 9.5 additional fire apparatus at a cost of about $6 million. Next slide. I won't go into a lot of detail on all these, but essentially what we're doing here is just saying, hey, we've got 10,500 square feet today. We want to maintain that level of service, and at $400 a square foot for facilities, that's where we're saying, hey, 12,500 square feet would cost a little over $5 million. Up next with apparatus, if you have 8 units today, maintain that level of service, you'd need 9.5 additional units. The average cost of your existing fleet is a little over $600,000 a unit. So that 9.5 units times 622,500, as we're getting the approximately $6 million. All right. Same thing with excess construction sales tax. We want to make sure that we're including that. And so the next slide shows the proposed fire fees. So essentially doubling on the residential side, and sort of a slight up or slight down on the non-residential side. The change here on non-residential is really related to the updated ITE factors. So slightly fewer vehicle trips on the commercial and office uses, slightly higher on industrial and institutional. So any questions with fire? Okay. Police, single service area, a facilities and a vehicle component, again, using the incremental methodology. So you would need a little over 19,000 square feet of facilities to maintain the existing level of service, and about 42 additional vehicles to maintain the level of service. The next 2 slides just give a little more detail. So, if you've got 16,000 square feet today, maintain that level of service, that's where we're coming up with a 19,000 additional.
Dan, if we build, I noticed in your report, if we build our police station or our police facility inside of a fire department like they do in other communities, how much square footage did you allot in the study for if we build a fire department and the police have a perfect example is Anthem in Florence? Their police station, if you will, is inside the Florence Fire Department out there. Is that, how many square foot did you allot for that in this report, or did you?
So with this, it's just maintaining the existing level of service. So if the idea is you want to shift to a model where you're really doing, report writing rooms, or, small substations in conjunction with a fire station, it might make sense to adjust this, because this is saying, you would generate fee revenue for 19,000 additional square feet. If you think you're only going to add 500, 1,000 square feet over the next 10 years, it might make sense to make an adjustment here to reflect that, smaller footprint. And it would reduce, your overall fees, especially if you're going to co-locate with fire and, we're getting those fire facilities through an impact fee anyway.
In that case, we're gonna have to adjust the fire too, right?
We could.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna have, okay. Because one, if you adjust one, and then it's already, if you're not assuming there's a certain, like 500 square feet, and then you didn't include it in one or the other, then you're gonna have to adjust both of them.
So do you currently have police space in your existing fire stations?
No, sir, we don't. And I'm not saying that that's your fault. I'm just saying that it's gonna be different if we do what we were looking at doing. It was putting a police office and station, a little, if you will, inside the fire facility. So that'll make it a difference.
It would, and we can adjust this, either of them downward to reflect that. But, the important thing here is if you don't think you're going to build, well, first, if you think you're going to grow, as projected, then do you think you would actually build 19,000 square feet of police facilities? And if the answer is no, then we can, make an adjustment before the next public hearing to reflect, more in line with what you're likely to build.
Okay, I'm just curious. And I don't even know that we're taking anything, impact fees for police at this time, are we?
Mayor, you are not, and actually,
That's what I thought.
a couple slides that shows the fee schedule, and I do think it was a 0 for your current fee.
Yeah. So,
One more. There we go. That's correct. You're not currently charging any police fees. So this would be a new fee meant to fund additional, police facilities and police vehicles.
and it's already computed in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we've got that done at least. Thank you.
Correct. All right, up next is street, so a single service area. We're looking at one component, so the incremental expansion of street improvements. So if you maintain the existing level of service, you'd need almost 21 additional lane miles, and at $1 million a lane mile, that's almost $21 million. Next slide shows the trip generation factors. We also have trip adjustment factors, trip length factors from the National Household Travel Survey. Essentially, this is our way of making sure that, each type of development pays their proportionate demand for street improvements. And so you can see that, on the far right, all those numbers are a little bit different. So a single-family unit's going to generate more vehicle miles of travel than a multifamily unit. On the non-residential side, industrial is going to generate, far less VMT than, a commercial facility of the same size. So again, just making sure that the fees are proportionate to the actual demand for street infrastructure. Next slide. This shows the travel demand model. So you see all those factors at the top. This middle section right here, these are the development projections. So if you look all the way to the right, that's where you see the 7,800 single-family units, 1,300 multifamily units, and then the 2-ish million square feet of non-residential development. So we're multiplying those travel demand factors by that. And at the bottom, you see that currently we have about 17 lane miles of street improvements today. So if we just maintain that level of service, you need about 21 to, serve future development. The next slide, this just shows the actual level service calculation, assuming $1 million a lane mile, we should be charging about $114 per VMT. The next slide shows that conversion, so it's just taking the cost per VMT by the VMT generated by different land uses. These across the board are actually decreasing compared to your existing fee. So any questions with street fees? Okay. All right, so wastewater, we will have a slight change on this based on some discussions this afternoon. So we'll have a single service area. We're looking at a plan-based treatment component, so essentially expanding the wastewater treatment facility. About a 1.4 million gallon increase projected over the next 10 years. Next slide. So this just shows, if you were around 900,000 based on 10 years projected growth, about 1.4 million gallon increase, or that's what, we need for future development. So the next slide, this is where we're going to have a change. So, in meetings this afternoon, we were looking at this number, $4.5 million to add 1 million gallons of capacity. And, I said, hey, some of our other clients in the area, they're around $30 a gallon. So we really started discussing, what was included in this. And we do think we're gonna come back to you with a different number for this that it better reflects what it actually costs to, expand with the type of wastewater treatment plant that you're likely to build. But it will change these proposed fees. We're saying $4.50 a gallon right here, but it's likely closer to $30 a gallon for what you're going to build. And so if we look at the next slide, assuming 190 gallons per day for a single family unit or an equivalent dwelling unit, $30 times 190 gallons is $5,700. So what we're showing here at $4.50 a gallon, your base fee would be $860. That's what a single family unit would pay. Based on today's discussion, I think it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $5,700, assuming that $30 per gallon for wastewater treatment. But we want to make sure that you were aware of that and you expected it at the next public hearing. So any questions related to wastewater? Okay. All right, so this just shows a comparison on the residential side. So the proposed fees at the top, the current fees in the middle, and then the difference at the bottom. This is for the non-utility component. So you're about $4,700 right now for a single family unit. Proposed fees are just shy of $4,900. So we're not looking at much of an increase on the residential side. If you add that potential $5,700 wastewater fee on top of that, you're looking at about $10,500 total, which still puts you very low compared to your neighbors. The discussion we were having earlier was, Gilbert and Phoenix and Peoria, they're all right around, $35,000 total. So you're coming in much lower than, some of your neighbors. Right now, I met with Pinal County earlier, so they're updating their fees right now. Apache Junction and Casa Grande are also updating their fees right now. So, sort of a trend we're seeing just to absorb the construction cost increases. whoever's updating is the one sort of moving up. But, in a comparison to, other cities in the valley, you're pretty low on the list with your impact fees. And I'll make sure that for the next public hearing, you have a comparison that shows where you are now and where you will be with the proposed fees. Next slide shows the non-residential. So with this, it's actually an across-the-board decrease. Not a huge decrease, but a decrease nonetheless before you add in any sort of wastewater development fees to that. The final slide is the no longer applicable utility fee schedule. But that is the final slide. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm here to answer any of those.
Where does that, the $1 million per lane mile, where does that figure, where'd you get that figure? Is that?
If it wasn't provided by staff, it's a number that, we've used with some of your neighbors. It can definitely vary based on, do you have a culvert? Do you have to buy right of way? But you're really not going to see a cost per lane mile less than $1 million.
Anybody else have any questions? This is a public hearing. Anybody out there? Okay. Seeing nobody race forward, then I guess we'll get out of the public hearing. Thank you. Okay, item 6. To receive public comments on a zoning code text amendment per Arizona State Legislature, Senate Bill 1103, 2023, and House Bill 2447, 2025, to be implemented by December 31st, 2025, into the City of Coolidge zoning code. I don't know, I guess it's Article 21, Administrative Procedures, Section 1901, Procedures for Site Plan Approval, authorizing administrative personnel to review and approve site plans without a public hearing.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Again, this item is a proposed ordinance to implement the House Bill 2447 or ARS 9.5.49. This is a new state law passed in 2025 that requires cities and towns to shift certain routine development approvals to, administrative staff when it meets our codes and requirements. And of course, you read it, what impacts us the most. There's major site plans, preliminary plats, and plats. It doesn't change anything with the rezoning, variances, CUPs, or any other discretionary actions, public hearing process as they are today. We took this to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review last week, and they voted to recommend approval for adoption for council tonight. Several communities have already adopted this to be in compliance before the December 31st deadline. Most notably, City of Casa Grande has formally adopted it. Other cities include Yuma, I think Maricopa, Florence they may have already done it. It was kind of unclear. And with that, I'll open the public hearing.
Have you talked to any of the other cities that have changed this?
I have not. It's so new. It doesn't change, our process. Basically, when we take it before planning and zoning, it's been approved by us per code, per yes or no check boxes, and that's when staff recommends it for approval. We don't change any of the notices. We still do the mailings to everybody. We still follow the same process. The only process that would change is we don't take it before planning and zoning for their approval. We do take into account, if there's citizens that have concerns or complaint, that still comes to us anyways, and we just present that. So we'll still have all those checks and balances. And I don't know if Dennis could want to elaborate.
So I don't want to get to the lawyer yet. So What I'd like to know is, P and Z hearings can get pretty exciting. So now, instead of going to the planning and zoning hearings and having the fight there, they'll be coming to city councils and having the fight here. No?
No.
Okay. Then now, what's the deal?
No, these, the director's going to be able to approve them if they're consistent with our zoning code and are consistent with all of our rules.
Well, that's fine, but is that the same way it is then? I mean,
No,
To the-
now it gets approved in-house, but then it would go to planning and zoning for site plan approval and things like that.
well, that's what I mean.
It's-
If you don't, does the public have a
legislature's
chance
taken
to
that
talk
away.
to them
The
at
legislature
that?
took that away.
I know, but they do now have a chance to talk to them at planning and zoning about the plan, don't they?
Up until
public
December
does.
31st.
That is my point.
Right, 100% correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And they can still come to staff and talk to us and relay their concerns, and we will take that into account.
So what's going to happen when a bunch of citizens are unhappy with some change? So what happens if we vote no? We get thrown in jail?
Well, if you vote no, you won't be in compliance with state law, and you could be subjected to a complaint where somebody should file a complaint against us. And
Is that why, well, you can't answer that, but I can assume that might have had something to do with planning and zoning's vote. So, okay. I'm just curious because to me, they're taking away the citizens' rights to voice an opinion.
They can still come to us and voice their opinion, and if our job is to work it out and make sure it works for everybody.
How are the citizens notified then, though, if that's?
The same way that we already notify them for the meeting, we send out whatever the mailing is, that doesn't change. None of that, the only thing that changes is bringing it and presenting it. And when we present to P and Z, it's basically we show them how it met, it's meeting code, it's meeting compliance. This is the concerns we've had, this is how we address these concerns. That's kind of how it unfolds.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I share the same concerns with Mayor Thompson. I just don't, this is taking that away from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that was the place where you could go and you could, argue the point if they were all using all their minimum setbacks and you wanted a greater setback, so, depending on what the project is. And now, they have to go through administratively, so I'm just curious, if they aren't happy with with how the administratively it comes down, what's the option for the adjacent property owners to?
Well, that's why it changed, because it's yes or no. Do they meet our code or do they not meet our code? If they do not, then we kick it back. If they do, there's no recourse for us to make it go above and beyond. That would be up to them.
Okay, so if you guys went ahead and you stayed with the minimum, but then the property owner adjacent to it said, I want a greater setback, they have no option there.
Correct.
What happens if you want the applicant to increase their setback?
We could only ask what the code requests.
So we can't ask them to increase the setback?
We could ask them. Oh, yeah, we could ask them.
And then if they said no, then we just have to live with it?
Yes, sir.
The property owner couldn't, file a complaint, or there's no recourse with the state or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge. Dennis, you might be able to help, no?
Well, don't we have some properties in town that were put in long before some of the codes have been changed and they weren't they weren't right then?
Exactly.
And now, there's one, I'm trying to think of the street, it's between the rec center and the park, and you had, would be, west, I think. And there's on the corner there, they always have a big balloon in their yard. Anyway, they were supposed to change a fence there. There's a wall. You know what I'm talking about, Gilbert? That one where that has that wall, and I don't think they ever did change it, but they wouldn't be able to deal with situations like that.
No, that's more code enforcement. You know,
That's more
there's-
code enforcement, but it involves building or, tearing down one wall and making it, compliant to code.
Well, if they're looking for a variance, it'd still go to Board of Adjustments and
Yeah.
everything.
They still have that.
Right.
Yeah, you saw
That would come to you
variances,
guys.
you know, CUPs, conditional use permits, that still comes before this body. Yeah, the only thing they've taken out is the pre-plats, plats, and it's major site plans, pretty much,
Okay.
which only accounts for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 meetings a year. We still file staff reports, we still follow the same process. The only process we don't follow is presenting it to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So like a major site plan to be, we're looking at, say, the Taco Bell and how it's laid out. We pretty much have figured it out. We make sure they've got their parking, the widths, but then we re-present it to Planning and Zoning with those findings. And of course, during those meetings, they did ask for different things, questions, but, nothing egregious usually.
Well, I understand, and I know nobody in this room did it, but it takes away another set of eyes.
It does.
And another body to look at something that, we may or may not see it.
I agree.
I don't know that, well,
We all agree, yeah. You're
Yeah.
not wrong.
anybody else? You done? Go ahead.
Well, and again, I mean, I know that we're between a rock and a hard place, and we have to go ahead and approve this to be in compliance with state law and everything else, but I just think that it's really kind of a crappy position to put us in, because this takes more power away from the adjacent property owners that may be affected by something that's going to go in, and I mean, because that now I had the same issue come up when they were putting in the solar next to us, and it was at the P and Z during the site plan where I was able to get an increase because they come in with, of course, the minimum. And then some additional things to get a block wall up and things like that. So, I mean, that's going to take the people's power away from them. And I don't think it's fair to the adjacent property owners, but again, we have to go with it. So, unfortunately.
And every city's doing this? I mean, no one's-
Everyone in Arizona. And it's based on population. Other cities with greater population have to adopt other codes that we probably wouldn't like. So, yeah, it doesn't get any better.
I'm pretty sure I can agree with you there, and I don't even know what they are. So, okay. This is a public hearing. Anybody else out there? Well, not seeing anybody rush forward. Not hearing anything else up here. Come on up.
I just have a question. If that is mandated by us, then would it not be reasonable to assume that we're going to have, property owners may come back and ask for amendments within the code to give property owners the setbacks or the concessions that they're looking for? In other words, like if it's 25 feet now, and we've learned as property owners that that's not sufficient and we want 40, is this not going to create perhaps more work in the long run, or is that still an avenue that's available to property owners to exercise? Will we be amending the code?
That would be up to council.
So
So
you
that
could,
would be our only recourse then.
Well, I think when the notice goes out, I mean, I think the property owners would want to contact the planning department and let them know their concerns so that they can address them with the property owner and see whether or not the person proposing the site plan would agree to some of those concessions.
That's how we'd start.
Okay.
But to her point, can council then go to the developer or whoever it is and tell them that we wanted to add a setback? No.
No, we'd have to come back before and say, change setbacks, change rules.
Change the code.
You know, and that impacts other properties. You know, we have some 207 concerns. There's a lot that comes into play with that.
So you couldn't write a code that says up to 100 feet? Not that you'd want that, but could you write it?
Depends.
I'm just saying, I mean, there's got to be a way to get around the state legislature controlling the city and towns on how they want to build their city and town.
I'm sure some things will come to light this coming year regarding that.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see what happens. Okay, anything else? We good? All right, just gets better and better. Let's see here. Item 7, we're out of that public hearing. We're into item 7, to receive public comments on a subdivision code text amendment per Arizona State Legislation, Senate Bill 1103, 2023, and House Bill 2447, year 2025, to be implemented by December 31st, 2025, into the City of Coolidge Subdivision Regulations, Article 3, Planning, Procedures, and Requirements, authorizing personnel to review and approve preliminary and final plats without a public hearing. James?
Mayor, Council, again, this is the following, the prior public, this authorizes staff to review and approve preliminary and final plats, and it amends the subdivision code. This was not taken before planning and zoning. This was only taken before you. And this, again, it's basically, it either meets a box or it doesn't meet the requirement when we review it. And unfortunately, we're forced to also adopt this tonight.
Does anybody have any questions? I think we've already figured out what position we're in. You have anything? or-
No,
How
I
about
mean,
over
it's I think we're looking basically the
Hate to be
same
the
thing as
bearer
the last one.
of this, but
Yeah, okay. How about out there? All right, then I guess we'll get out of this public meeting and move to call the public. This is a time where if anybody has anything they would like to address with the council, please come up and state your name and your address at the podium, and you have up to 3 minutes to talk to us. And if we sure don't want to talk about items number 5, 6, and 7, but we sure be happy to talk about anything else. Okay. Seeing nobody approach, I'm going to call public. Thank you. And move into approval of minutes, discussion and action. Item 8, City Council regular meeting, October 13th, 2025. Item 9, City Council study session, November 10th, 2025. Item 10, City Council regular meeting, November 10th, 2025. Item 11, City Council regular meeting, November 24th, 2025. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, or changes, recommended changes to any of these? Hearing none, I need a motion to act.
Mayor Thompson, I move to approve the minutes for City Council meeting, regular meeting, October 13th, study session, November 10th, 2025, regular meeting, November 10th, 2025, and regular meeting, November 24th, 25, as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we'll move into business items for consent. Is there anyone that wants any of these items pulled off of the agenda for individual consideration?
No.
I'm going to actually pull item 14. Okay. Item 12, consider approval of reappointing Lynn Parsons, Victor Gomez, and Kim Vandenberg to serve a 2-year term on the Transit Advisory Committee ending January 1st, 2028. Item 13, consider approval of the street closures for the annual Martin Luther King Jr. March being held on Monday, January 19th, 2026. Item 15, ordinance number 250-09, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council. Oh, that's right, okay, I was getting excited. Okay, there's, do we want to go ahead and vote on 12 and 13? Yeah, we do. Okay. Can I have a motion on 12 and 13?
Mayor, I move to approve item 12 and 13 as read.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Norman, choose your second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 14, consider approval of entering into a coordination, planning, and engineering contract retainer between George Cairo Engineering, Inc. and the City of Coolidge for design review services for the off-system bridge grant project for the Selma Highway Bridge reconstruction and expansion, authorizing the mayor and public works director to sign the necessary documents. I did have one question when I looked through this. Page 207 on my stuff, they might have different on theirs. City responsible if project costs run over, and how do we handle it? That was in there time and time again. We're responsible for everything over the set amount.
Yes.
And my only question that I have is, the only reason I pulled this and I'm asking you is, we've worked with some of these outfits right here before on Northern Avenue and other projects, and they all ran over and somebody had to pay.
So we are required to pay if we go over. This has not gone out to bid yet. So when it goes out to bid, that is going to be one of the things that we do. We go out to bid for it, and we make sure that we don't go over when we do the bidding process. The reason we have this particular piece that I'm looking to pay for is this is outside the scope of work in that initial grant is the review from Cairo Engineering. So we have to pay for this separately outside of the scope of work, and that's why this is even coming before you. It's not included in the grant scope, the fee scope. So that's the only reason that this is coming in. And it's a review of the plans and the documents of that particular bridge because it is a skid canal. And so they're doing a review.
And so if they decide that they need more of that, then, and it's more than what we've bid on this initial bid? I mean, will we have to pay more because it is? Because that's what's happened, that even happened on the Skousen.
Yeah, so that happened on
That
Skousen
Skousen
where,
deal.
and it wasn't for the initial review. This is just plan review, and that's all that this is. The reason that it went above and beyond over on Skousen is that they decided while they were going through the planning process that they needed to pipe the north and south side of Skousen Road for about 500 feet, which tagged on an extra like $1.1 million.
Well, that's my
Which was
concern.
ridiculous. So I understand where you're coming from. So we don't have any of those issues like that in this area. We brought skid in early on in the process, even before we were starting going through the grant. I had made them aware of what was going on for the same fear because of what had happened over on the Skousen signal and everything. So Cairo has been made aware along with skid and BIA, which are kind of all one and the same. And they've been aware, so they've gone through the planning process with us. So we don't have any of those unforeseen items happen and pop up there at the end where it turns this project into where it's way over. Even with the grant process, when we had put in for it, we had put in for, I want to say about 2.4 for it. And with the skid canal, and they're looking to have to reroute the water and everything, they bumped it up another 500,000 just for that to account for that. And this isn't planned to be built until 2027. And so it also accounted for the increase in construction materials.
Yeah, because it looked like after going through the contract, they got us nailed down pretty good if we tried to weasel out of it in some fashion, even though our attorney's pretty slick. I just wondered if you took all that into consideration, because we've worked projects with these guys before and it always cost us more money.
Yeah, and so that was a concern when we were going through this, and so I made sure they were very aware of the project before we even got going. So if they had any issues with having to reroute water or having to extend or right away or any of that, we got that handled out in the open before it even goes out to bid, so it's not creeping up on us afterwards.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for?
No.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to need a motion to act.
I move to approve item 14 of the consent agenda as read.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now, I can get into business regular items. Ordinance number 25-09, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, adopting the document filed with the city clerk and entitled 2025 Amendments to the Zoning Code by reference to amend certain provisions of the City of Coolidge zoning code relating to administrative approval of certain items, establishing severability and declaring an emergency. James?
Mayor, Council, this piggybacks the public hearing regarding the House Bill 2447. Again, kind of have to do it tonight. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions or comments or? All right, then I guess I need a motion.
Mayor Thompson, I move to approve item 15, which is ordinance number 25-09 as read.
Is there a second? Okay, Norma?
Okay, Councilmember Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilmember Shope?
Yes.
Councilmember Bagnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Saavedra?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Item 16, ordinance number 25-10, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, adopting the document filed with the city clerk and entitled 2025 Amendments to the Subdivision Code by reference to amend certain provisions of the city of Coolidge subdivision code relating to administrative approval of certain items, establishing severability and declaring an emergency.
Mayor,
James?
Council, again, this follows the public hearing we just had for the subdivision code. This is the pre-plat and plating part of it.
Okay. Any questions for James? Hearing none, then I look for a motion to act.
Mayor Thompson, I move to approve item 16, which is ordinance number 25-10 as read.
Is there a second? Okay, Norma?
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Saavedra?
Yes.
Councilmember Bagnell?
Yes.
Councilmember Shope?
Yes.
Councilmember Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, report from mayor and council and city manager. We'll start over here with Councilmember Bagnell.
Just want to go ahead and remind everybody about Wreaths Across America this Saturday. I think they're serving breakfast at 9, and then they're going to have the ceremony at 10, then the laying of the wreaths. And other than that, I would like to just wish everybody happy holidays and the new year.
I have nothing to report.
Same thing. We'll wish everybody a happy holidays. Merry Christmas. You know, I'm not afraid to say Christmas. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and also, again, congratulations to Lynn. Thank you.
Gilbert?
Mayor, thank you. Council members, we attended
Wait a
a,
minute, wait a minute. Steve? Councilmember Hudson?
Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
thank you. We attended an APS energy update last week, and it was really good. APS assured us that they're not going to reduce the power on any existing businesses or cities if it has to do with like data centers and all that. So he told us that they're looking into that and they're committed to providing us power. And then we also had the Coolidge flying. It was really, I think, successful. A lot of good planes out there. And I know Councilmember Bagnell told me, I think they had 135.
We served about 200
Oh, yeah,
breakfasts out there that
that's
day.
great.
So we're climbing back up.
Wonderful, that's good. Good food. And same thing, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Same thing. I was with Gilbert at both of those well, I wasn't with him at the fly-in. I think it was too cold for the bikers, and there was about 100 to your breakfast right there. They didn't show, I didn't see one motorcycle. So, other than that, I had a bunch of meetings last week, and I'm not going to bore you with all that. So I too want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday Season. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. It goes without saying that we weren't too thrilled about some of the things we had to vote on tonight, but rather than go to jail, we will comply with the law. So the attorney didn't give us any advice to comply with it, so I was tempted. But on the other hand, I want to remain free for Christmas. So thank you very much for coming. I need a motion to get out of here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.